Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Live to Roll show. We are doing our second Women's Takeover, and I'm so excited. We are going to go around and introduce ourselves and just give a little bit of a background. So, I am Brianna. I was injured 4.5 years ago. I was wrongfully shot as I was sitting inside of my car. A gun went off behind my seat, and the bullet lodged in T12, fracturing L1 through L5. So, that's my story. Let's go to Tammy.
Hi everyone, my name is Tammy. I am a C4, C5 quadriplegic. I was injured when I was 17 due to a car accident, and it's been 12 years for me.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to Nikki.
My name is Nicole. I'm 26. I forgot my age. I'm 26, and I'm a T6 paraplegic, and I was injured in a car accident in March of 2019.
Thank you. Let's go to Jessica.
Hi, my name's Jessica. I've been injured for 10 years now. I was in a car accident. I fell asleep driving, and I ended up injuring my C7 incomplete.
And let's go to Erika.
Hello, I'm Erika. I am 2 years post-injury, a couple weeks ago actually. I am 25 now, and I'm a T6 and 7 incomplete.
Thank you. Woo-hoo! We're back, guys. I'm so excited to be here. So today we're going to be discussing some kind of hard topics. When I was looking over it and just thinking about it, I was remembering about a bunch of different things. So we're going to take it easy today, touch on some different things. And I think that we're going to start with family members. So I will start off giving you guys a little background. So for me, family was very hard for me in the beginning. I raised myself, and I was very, very independent, and that was kind of what made me feel confident in myself, was my independence, was that I got my apartment, got a car, and went to college, and I was doing this. And then I felt like this injury stole that from me, and it was so hard for me. And so now I was in a position where I had to rely on people that weren't reliable, and I had to ask them for help when they weren't always the nicest. And that was very demeaning for me. It was very hard. I went to a lot of days just not even asking for help because I just didn't even want to go through the conflict of it. And so that was very emotional for me. And then I remember they just didn't understand it, which I look at the situation a little bit different now, because I felt like they didn't understand me. I was so angry at them. Everything they said annoyed me. And now I do feel like I didn't understand what they were going through as well. They were watching somebody that they loved be in pain, and they couldn't help me. As much as they wanted to, as much as I wanted them to, there was just, they didn't know what they were talking about, and I didn't know what I was talking about. We were thrown into this life, and so many things with injury. So it was like I was asking them for help, but they didn't know because they never done it before, And so what really changed for me and my family was that I got involved into the community. So once I did that and I started finding my own support group and like my own support system, things really changed. And I really started looking at them as my family and my support system and the people that are keeping me going. So then I was able to bring my family into that environment. So I started bringing them around other wheelchair users, started bringing them around in the groups and having them listen to people. My mom lived all the way in Montana, so I had her join a group online and just learn and read other people's story. And it really helped us because I couldn't communicate what I was feeling. And this way they were able to hear it from other people's point of view, And from the first 2 years to the second 2 years, our family's 100% different. They really stepped up and they really have been there for me, and it means so much. So I just want you guys to know that I know it is hard in the beginning, especially trying to just explain how you feel. But it takes time. You have to know how to advocate for yourself. Also, when I was just believing in myself a bit more, I remember my mom told me in the beginning, like, Brianna, you just have to accept this. And I was like, okay, let me just accept, like, it's not that easy. I can't just push a button and accept my life. Like, I'm angry. Like, you don't understand that. But this is hard for me, and then it just like made me feel like I was losing my family as well, you know. So that was really hard for me. I went through a lot of different situations like that. But once I found that independence and believed in myself more, like I said, things really did change. They started believing in me as well. You know, one time also I went to Las Vegas with them, and there was a big crowd of people, and my mom goes, "We'll never get through this. What are we gonna do?" And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Move out of my way." And I'm like, excuse me. I just started darting through this in the middle of Las Vegas because, you know, darting through all these people, and she's like overwhelmed, but my whole family just starts following me. And I was like, I was so proud of myself when I got to the end. And I was like, there, I did it, you know, because, you know, how can I expect them to believe when, you know, they don't know neither. We don't know if this is possible, you know. We have to take these chances. So it is a roller coaster, you know. So yeah, that was my journey. So let's go to Tammy.
So at the beginning of my injury, it was really difficult for us because it was very new to us. It did cause a lot of conflict within the family, I guess. To start off, like, I was raised by a single mother, so for her working 7 days a week and struggling to make it, and then me getting paralyzed was like, I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, it was probably the worst thing that could have happened to us. And then, you know, when you're in the hospital and half alive, it brings back the past. So family that you aren't in a good relationship with starts to come. And my unhealthy relationship was with my dad, who couldn't really ever commit to what was promised and be responsible. And yeah, he told me he would move back and take care of me, which he never committed to. And it was very hard for me because it made me question my self-worth and self-esteem, where it's like, wow, the severity of my situation still like can't change you or your, you know, your ability to be there for me as a father. So it made me question myself, you know. But over the years, being there for myself, like you said, like really made me realize like, oh, I don't really need people, you know, and whoever shows up and sticks around are meant to be there in my life. And the upside of things is that my sister was on her way to become a doctor, so she was more familiar with, like, you know, the medical side of things, and she moved back from LA to be one of my sole caregivers. But she switched field to be a pharmacist, but she's been like the anchor to my whole injury. And when I felt lost, she was never afraid to make like really difficult decisions that kind of move things forward in my life. And yeah, me and my family we were a really broken family, but my injury really brought us all together, and it taught us to kind of work together. There was a lot of stuff that we had to hash out. There were like, you know, like it was really ugly in the beginning, but I think some things are just meant, it needs to happen. The blow-ups need to happen in order to kind of hash it out.
Yeah, I totally feel that so much. I remember before my injury, me and my family could not be in the same room together. My mom and my dad could not, my brothers, everything. And afterwards, we went to the World's Experience, and I asked them to please be there for me and to go through this with me. And we were all inside the hotel room, and we were just like laughing and having a good time. And we had like a really good weekend. And like, it's giving me chills even now, because it was like, this would not have happened if it wasn't for my injury. Like,
yeah,
it just makes me grateful, you know.
Mm-hmm. We weren't really raised to communicate properly, so this really taught us to learn each other's like communication styles and love language. You know, that was like really big for me.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I totally feel that. Okay, let's go to Nikki. How about you?
So when me and my sister got injured, I imagine it was a lot for my family. We're thankful we have a really big family. What my dad does, he has a huge family, so we were able to have like someone in the hospital with us like every single day. But when we came home, I feel like that was like a different story. Like, people weren't really there. Actually, they're not. So I kind of had to figure it out for myself. For me personally, as a paraplegic, I was able to really just learn on my own, even if it looked different. Like, I would ask people how to do like the bowel program, the cathing, and they would tell me a certain way, and that wouldn't work for me. And I would do it even if it was like super messy. I figured out a way to do it myself because I had to, because I had no one to help me. So for both me and my sister, like, now I'm pretty much fully independent when it comes to like my home life. I don't really need much help. I don't really need any help. But for my sister, I do most of her care. And then my really good friend Ariel, if she's watching this, shout out. She does Ashley's care during the day as well, like when she doesn't have to work her other job. So she's been really helpful, which she was in the accident with us. She just didn't get hurt. So I feel like her being in the accident kind of made her want to help us. I mean, I don't know if that's like how she, but I can tell like that's maybe like it hit her a lot. She was even in the hospital with us. She had hurt herself as well, not like spinal cord injury, but so she was healing at home as well when this all happened. So she didn't see everything, but quickly I was able to teach her like how to calf, how to do the bowel program, how to even transfer. Like she didn't even know how to do that for the longest. She went to a few therapy sessions with my sister and I, and she learned how to help me with floor transfers because that was like a huge goal of mine at first. So just like little things, she definitely was a big help. Even still to this day, I don't know what we would do without her. And then my dad. But other than that, we live with our family and with our mom and dad. But other than that, it's mainly just me, my dad, and Ariel that do a lot of the care for my sister. And I do a lot of my own stuff. And we're only, March 2019. We're not even 2 years out yet. So I'm listening to Brianna and Tammy, and I'm like, maybe it'll change eventually. I don't know, but that's kind of it now for us.
Yeah, it's definitely a struggle here. Because in the beginning, honestly, the first year, I felt the exact same way, and I didn't really see hope. But it's kind of crazy how the world aligns, for what's meant to be. I kind of realized family members, there's many family members that I lost in this, completely stopped talking to. And at first, it was very hard for me until I realized, like, I need to be thankful, even if it's just my dad that's showing up right now. I need to be thankful for that because nobody said that I was going to have all these people here for me. It's just something that I want, So, like, to put up those boundaries definitely hurts. I had to get a lot of emotion out from it. But once I did, I was able to be extremely grateful for the people who are there,
Yeah, for sure. It definitely makes you grateful for. I'm so grateful for my dad and Ariel. Like, I don't know what I would do without them. I'm paralyzed. I can only do so much for my sister. So,
exactly.
It's hard sometimes.
Yeah, totally understand. How about you, Jessica? How was family life for you after your injury?
So for me, it was similar to all of you, pretty tough. I grew up with a single mom, and so really young, I started working. I started doing everything on my own. I mean, I had my son at 17, so I had to become pretty independent. And so when I got injured, it was like he was 4. So it was like, okay, so I need help, but I need help with my son too. So it was just like, my family did the same thing. They came together, and my mom and my dad hadn't talked since I was like 3. And so it was pretty interesting just to have everyone. And I think when you're in the hospital, everyone's there. And it's true, we all get the same situation when we go home. And for me, luckily, it was my mom and 2 of my aunts, and the 3 of them kind of rotated. But I was a bitch. So I think that was the complicated part. I was raised in a family where everyone says the truth. And that is not always great. And I think I was always in charge of my whole family. Like, I was the one that said when we would meet up, when we would do this, when we would do that. I was the one that mediated between all of them. And so when I got injured, I was still that person. Like, I was still in charge. And I think a lot of those resentments, like Tammy said, from the past come up, and you're just very honest. And I think I hurt a lot of people. Like, I definitely hurt my mom a lot. But we healed through a lot of stuff too. And, one of my aunts helped a lot with my son and his grandma and his dad, they all stepped up. And so I think same thing, like, we're closer now, but I had a family that was really big on you need to walk again. You need to walk again. You need to walk again. So I have a lot of mobility. I, to this day, still go and work out and stand up and do walking and stuff, but it wasn't functional, right? So a lot of the thing was probably the first 2 years, because I'm a C7, but I have damage on C4. So I really had to heal to become independent. And to be like a fully independent quad takes a lot of time. And it was like, okay, well, you need to train. You need to be in therapy 5 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I never stopped, And so I think when like I had a therapist that were like, when are you going to go back to living? And I was like, what the hell does that mean, So I think 2 years in, I went back to school, 2.5 years. I went back to school and I was like, I'm going to drive. I don't care. I couldn't even cast, but I was like, I don't care. I'm going to figure it out. And I did. It took a lot of hard work, a lot of fighting with my mom, and I come from a very protective family. So they're always like, oh, she can't do this. Oh, she can't do that. Oh, she can't do this. And it's just them being worried. And I'm like, nope, I'm going to do it and I can do it. And so I had to like sit them down and I had to like break it to my mom. I was like, hey, I'm done with this whole like living my life to walk again. And it broke her. Like we were almost 2-3 years in and I was like, I can't, like I need to go back to living. And, very religious family. So you need to have faith. That's you not having faith in God and you're just doubting them. And I was like, no, I was like, this is faith, this is me trusting that if this is God's plan, who am I to question it, So yeah, it was pretty intense. And I still get crap from them sometimes when I want to try something new. But at the same time, I think it's true. The more independence they can see from you, the better. I obviously still need help sometimes. I'm still a single mom, so I still need help with my son, or things here and there. And we're a pretty close family, which has helped. But I was raised in a family of women, or with men, so all the women just kind of come together, and it's my mom, my aunt. And so, I mean, I was lucky. My really close friends all learned to cast so that I could go out. They were like, it's fine, we'll do it, My best friend is one of my guy cousins. So anytime I want to do something stupid, he's like, let's go. I got you. You want me to put you on a boat? I'll put you on a boat. You want me to put you on every ride at Six Flags or not? I'll do it, My brother too. So, yeah, there was a lot of conflict. The first 2 years are hell. And everyone's just fighting. And I mean, I think I played it off well with the world where I was really happy and good. But I don't, like I tell people, I don't do depression. I do anger, which is like not better. I was just mean to everyone. So like when I started working in like hospitals and working with spinal cord injuries, I was like, maybe be a little nicer. Like, you're not the only one going through this. But in that moment, you don't see it that way. And I remember I was brutal. So, yeah, now I'm fully independent. Yeah, I'm still a quad, so I still get some help. But for the most part, yeah, we're good now. They annoy me and I take off and I just won't be home. I grab my child and I've grabbed my kid and gone to Canada, gone to Seattle. Like, I'm like, I don't give a damn. Like, so, the more, it's true, the more independence they see from you, the more they believe it. Because in my culture, it's like, the Hispanic culture is like, no, she's sick. And I'm like, I'm not sick. Like, I'm not sick at all. I'm just a little broken physically, but I'm not sick. So I think that's really a hard part too, that it depends on your culture. They see us as, you're sick, like, and it comes from a place of love, but it doesn't feel that way sometimes.
Yeah, I totally feel everything that you're saying 100%. And for me, what my boyfriend's family is very Mexican culture and very faithful. So I still, when I'm having conversations with them, they'll be like, you just have to have faith. Like, you just got to keep on believing. You'll walk. We believe in you, and they'll still say those things. And I don't think that they realize how hard it is for us, especially in the beginning. It was very hard for me because I just am not that type of person to be planning for, one day what if, and I kind of hated it. So that was so hard for me as well, and then, but yeah, exactly what you're saying too. Sometimes my family still wants to coddle me and be like, wait a second, don't do that, and if you let them, that can last for years. I've seen people where they get stuck in that routine for years, especially if it's like somebody's an only child and now the baby got hurt and you're like, oh my gosh, I did get hurt too, so now you guys are both nervous to live again, so it's a tough situation, but it kind of you have to get that confidence back. I remind newly injured people, like, when you were younger and you had to go to college and you had to go out and like kind of break the rules a little bit and learn how to live your life, you have to do that again. You cannot let your parents just lock you up in a room, because it will happen. Yeah, totally. Okay, let's go to Erika.
So for me, my family dynamic at first was like my mom, my dad, my brother, and my son. And then after my accident, that changed to just, me and my parents. So through the process, there was like, a lot of emotions, a lot of grief for like our family, and a lot of grief for my injury. But I have a huge family. Like, my mom's one of 12, my dad's one of 10. So yeah, it was like just a frenzy. Like, I turned into queen bee, and the warrior bees came and built a honey beehive at like my hospital. Endless like visitors. I was never alone. It was amazing. I set boundaries really early on, so I don't think I really experienced a lot of what you guys are kind of talking about. I set a lot of boundaries, like, don't do, ask. That was like my first boundary. Don't ever do anything until I ask for it. Don't push me. Don't touch my chair until I ask. Don't grab something until I ask, because it made me feel like I had a little bit of control still with just my body, my, identity, my everything. So they were just like waiting for me to be like, can you help me? And I'm like, yes, you can help me. Like, it felt so much better than them like handing me the cup and I'm like, I could have done that. Or like, so it avoided a lot of conflict as well. And I don't know, I know you guys mentioned a little bit about Hispanic families, but for me, I don't know if maybe my family's different, but nothing of what you guys mentioned. They're just amazingly supportive. I have the same friends that came through from the beginning until now. If anything, it was an opportunity for me to like gain back some of the relationships that I had lost along the way. When I met Dad, I kind of distanced myself from a lot of my friends because I was in a relationship, I had a family, like, you just kind of distance yourself away. And then after my accident happened, I was able to regain a lot of connections that maybe wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for my accident. And thankfully, they've also I have amazing regarding friends. I'm very, to a fault, second chancer. I'm like Oprah, you get a second chance, I am just throw second chances everywhere, which sometimes it comes back to bite me in the butt. But for the most part, I don't hold grudges. So I think that really helped when my accident happened. Whoever wanted to come around, came around. It was more I think that really helped my experience. It really helped me move on faster. It really just helped me process my emotions a lot quicker too. As soon as I left the hospital, I felt like I was like ready to take on the world again. And I think that shocked a lot of people because everyone has this image of what you think something will be like until you experience it. Like for me, maybe not being able to talk is like the worst thing in the world because I talk a lot. But it's like someone that might not be able to talk is like, oh my God, not having my legs, like that's worse. So it's like, I just think it's different perspectives. So definitely like when people tell me like, oh my God, I can't imagine, or like I would not want, like I'm just like, well, I have no choice. So I'm here now. I'm going to make the best of it. I have the amazing support of my family around me. So if maybe seeing me or being around me is too much for you, by all means, I accept that and you can walk away. Like I will hold the door open for you. Like there's no problem with that. And I think sometimes we get stuck in the sadness of like not wanting people to leave us. and feeling like it's our fault that they're leaving, but it's not. It's them. Like, it's them not being able to handle it, them not being able to process certain things, and that's also okay, because like you mentioned, there are times where I get cranky or I get upset or I get frustrated, and if you're in my path of rage, you're gonna get burned. So yeah, definitely, like, that's understandable, especially when you're going through so many emotions, so many things. Stress to me is like the biggest thing. The moment I'm stressed and like my cup falls out of my chair, it's like the end of the world for like 5 seconds, and then I'm like, okay, breathe, like, whatever. But if that happens and someone's around me and immediately like they go and grab my cup, I don't know why it pisses me off even more. Like, don't help me, like I could have done it. But yeah, family wise, it was just, I just think it's a journey. Everyone's journey is going to be different. Everyone's going to have different factors that play into it. So I think really just appreciating, like you guys mentioned, the good that comes from the family and the friends that are nearby, and not taking it too hard of the stuff that doesn't work out, because I always think things happen for a reason. Regardless of the saddest, the hardest moments, they happen for a reason. Someone out there is looking at this live and saying, oh my gosh, I'm going to grab something from that, or I'm going to learn from that. And it's like, they would have never picked that up if we would have not got injured. So I always just say, you never know who's watching.
Yes, exactly. I love that so much. It's so important to remember, and also not to like compare your life with other people, what they're going through. Because I know in the beginning, like looking on like YouTube videos and stuff, a lot of people would be like, get a support system. And in my head, I was like, I don't have a support system. Like, where am I going to get that? How am I going to get through it if I don't have a support system, And then when I wasn't even looking for one, really is where I found the Triumph family, and they really did become my family. I remember I would like roll up to the lunch table and be like, hi family, how you guys doing? And I just love them so much. And like, even girls that I've never even met before and like just talk to them online, like I had to be open to that. I had to be open to like trying to find a new support system, not just these 3 people are my support system and now they don't love me, so I don't have nobody. Like, no, you need to go and find a support system for yourself, find people that make you feel alive again, feel happy again. That was a very big step for me. So yeah, that's my
one thing that I add to Brianna is that was something for me. I found like all of you guys. Like, if I didn't find you guys, I would feel like so alone. So that really helped. Like, I just wanted to add that.
Yes, of course. Reach out. I feel like social media is so powerful because of that. And I've met so many amazing people just sending a message. Like, I think, Nikki, I just sent you a message and it was just like, hey, like, I have a spinal cord injury. Like, we're family. Like, I understand what you're going through, Like,
and then I went through, like, who you followed, and I found everyone else.
That's so amazing. I love it. Okay. So let's go to Caregivers. And just see what everybody's take is on that. So mine is a little bit different because I really didn't go through like the system of like really finding one. So I was relying on my boyfriend and my family for a lot of it, which I really don't recommend. I think having your family take care of you makes things very hard, because taking care of somebody's hard, and so they're not doing it the way you want, you're cranky, and now you don't have that family member anymore. You don't have that person to be, to make you feel safe. You're angry with them and at the world and at what's going on. And it just makes for a messy situation, I think. And the experiences that I did have was like home health nurses would come to change my catheter. And it was so hard for me because most of the time there was a language barrier. Most of the time they had no idea about spinal cord injuries. I remember one time this lady had my legs up and she was changing it, and then when she was done, she just let my legs go, and my legs just smashed together, my knees, and I couldn't breathe. I was so overwhelmed because I'm like, this is my body, the one thing that I have control over in this world, I don't have control over anymore, and I have to put it in the hands of somebody else. And especially in a time where I wasn't very vocal about what I needed. I didn't know what I need, so I didn't know how to be vocal about it, and that put me in a very hard situation too, where I felt like just more embarrassed. I felt more, alone and weak, and like I wasn't a person, because I had to rely on all these people that didn't even know what to do. I remember even one time they had to pick me up in an ambulance because my catheter was so bad. I had a really bad kidney infection. And the ambulance people did not even know what an incomplete spinal cord injury was. They didn't even understand that I was paralyzed but could feel nerve pain on my legs, you know? And like those things are frustrating, you know? It's very hard to deal with that, especially when you need care, like daily things, like a shower. When I went to go live with my mom, she was like helping me in the shower, doing all this stuff. And of course, you know, like not to fault her, like she is out of breath, you know, she's tired, it's steamy in there. And she's like, and I'm just like, okay, like, you know, like it's not my fault, you know, it makes me want to say like, just leave me alone, you know, but I can't say that because I need help into my chair, you know, so then it makes you put in a situation where you're just like really, really overwhelmed, you know, and not to say that it isn't overwhelming when it's like a person, but I think like vetting out caregivers is very important. Know that the first one that comes might not be the one that you're going to stick with, you know, you might have to spend a little bit of time with them. Also, you're not living, but you're having to deal with this person for like hours sometimes. So also it's like lifestyles are different. You know, you might not just vibe with this person. You know, I've had friends where they had to have their caregiver drive them wherever they needed to go because they couldn't drive. And the caregiver was just like very chaotic, was driving all crazy, was talking about like different family stuff. And it just puts you in an uncomfortable situation, you know? But I think for newly injured people, that can be a breaking point, you know? So I think that it's very important to remember that this is your care, you know? The person that you have taking care of you, you have to be very, you have to advocate for what you want. And you also have to be kind, you know, and know that they're trying their best too. And if something isn't working, not to get right away irritated, because I'll be like, oh my gosh, like, no, I'm telling you, you know, put my sock on this way, you know, like, and they just were not understanding what I was saying. And sometimes that happens, you know, that's why there's that saying, you know, if you want something done, do it yourself, you know. So now what do? You know, and it just puts you in that situation. So it takes time, but my biggest advice would be learn how to advocate and learn how to be kind and nice and speak nicely about it. Even if you're irritated with them, you guys need to finish this what task together. So you have to do it. You know, you have to find different ways to cope and maybe be angry after they leave. You know, not to say that you can't be angry about it because it's frustrating. You know, but that would be my biggest advice with that. So let's go to Tammy.
As for caregivers, my family, they're still my primary caregivers, but it reached a point in the beginning where I did need care since everyone needed to work. And the first caregiver, I tried to be independent and hire on my own. I was very naive, and she tried to steal my identity. Granted, I was not very bright for giving her my personal information, and that year she tried to like claim me on her taxes. And when I was pushing her for her background check, she kept giving me the runaround and she wouldn't give it to me. And then she said that she wanted to quit and she wanted her paycheck. And I was like, well, you can get your paycheck when you show me your background check. And she was like, I'm going to call the cops. And I was like, good, you can call the cops on yourself because I'm not giving you your check until you give me your background check. And then she never showed up. And the caregiver after that, it was good, but it was very emotionally abusive. She convinced me, and she'll say things and make me believe that no, I wouldn't find better care than her for the pay that she was getting. And we were paying through a county program called In-Home Support Services, and we just weren't financially stable at the time to pay her more. And so it was very toxic. I accepted things and tolerated things for much longer than I should have, but I didn't want to be a burden to my family. And I didn't know how to communicate to her because she's very outspoken. And at the time I wasn't very vocal, and I was just like a shrimp without a shell for the sharks to eat, basically. And my sister was like, why is it that every time I come home, like, you need me to communicate things to her? And why are you crying all the time? You know, and it was just very unhealthy mentally. And, and then after that, I had caregivers who, I woke up after a surgery just high on anesthesia, and she took my card and went to go run errands and burned up all my gas. And, but that was like, it got to a point where I did sit her down. I was really scared, and I was like, look, family gives me X amount of money to fill up the gas and I need to make it last. Like my car and my belongings is for you to help me to get from point A to point B, not for you to go run errands. And my family is with me till the end of my procedure, but I am waking up high on anesthesia, not knowing where my caregiver is, and it's unacceptable. And even after letting her go, she'll like mass text me, very passive aggressive stuff, saying like, "Thank you for letting me go because I finally found a job that's much better than working with you." Things like that, you know. Yeah. So it's been a crazy journey.
It sounds like a crazy journey. Yeah, this caregiver thing is hard. I have definitely heard horror stories, and that's why I thought it was a good topic, because it's something that we need, and I think that it's hard for us because we don't want to need it, but we do, and so it puts us in an uncomfortable situation.
It really taught me to like put my foot down and establish boundaries, and this is coming from someone who did not have a backbone. That backbone disappeared when I broke my neck for some reason. And I had to learn again, and it really taught me to advocate for myself. And for me, I would advise anyone to always run background check. And I have created a list of overview of like what my needed care is and the hours and what I expect, like, tardiness and ground rules within my house. Like, families' rooms are off limits. And if you cook food for me, can you please tidy up? And it's uncomfortable when the job is within your house, and it's just not you living there. And yeah, and
that's a great idea to write like out a list. I love that, of what you need. So it's just written form, and you already have like been able to take the time, because I think sometimes face-to-face confrontation is hard as well. Yeah, I love that so much. I totally agree. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to Nikki. What was your experience with caregivers, and also being a caregiver for your sister right now too?
Oh yeah. So, I started going through an agency in September of 2019. So, and I already gone through like 6. I don't call them caregivers because they're homemakers. They have never cared for me. They help like me clean up. I'm very OCD. I like everything to be like in my room neat. I have a system in place for when like I do certain things. So they help me like with stuff like that, even though I can't do by myself, but like the state allows me to have someone, so take advantage of it. They do help me like go grocery shopping, pick up my medicine if I want to go. I've gone through 6, so I've had different experiences with all of them. Definitely, none of them ever know what they're walking into. They always think that I'm going to be some old lady. Like, they're always like, "You're young. You look like you're 19. I'm like, "No, 26 and just in a wheelchair. No big deal." They always ask what happened to me. I'm always nice to people, so I'm always nice to them. But they're definitely, I have had really like just bad experiences. I had one who she quit and was sending me texts threatening me, like, "I know where you live, but you don't scare me." And I was like, "You don't scare me either. So, well, I don't know why you're texting me." And I had to call the agency, and the agency did nothing. So now I'm on the path of trying to, like Tammy does, hire myself. But with insurance, it's going to take a couple months. So I'm hoping with that route. I've had like friends of friends already say that they would help do it for me. And I'm like, that's probably the route that's better. So it's good to hear the advice to like write down everything that I would want from them. And I try to think of, at first I would let it get mad. Like after the first 3, I would let myself get upset about it. But I just realized, like, honestly, I don't have control over it. They do what I want or whatever they want to do. And I'm just gonna like, this is my life. Like, honestly, if you want things done the right way, do it yourself. So I just try doing things myself, and I make them do like what they have to do while they're here. But other than that, my biggest advice is just don't let it get to you. Now I'm at the point where I'm just like, I don't even care anymore.
Yeah, it's like almost like something that we have to learn how to do is like kind of release that control and just be like, this is what's going to happen. I think like in the beginning, it's hard to it's easy to like be like, oh, if I could just do it, then it would be a lot better. Like, this is so annoying. If I wasn't in a chair, this wouldn't be happening, you know? But like after really like kind of releasing that and just understanding, even if something does go wrong, we need to communicate about it. We need to figure out what the next thing is to solve this problem is, you know?
Yeah.
And like, that's kind of how the outlook you have to have on this. Unfortunately, it is hard, you know. It's not like a lot of training to be a caretaker, you know.
No, and it's not a lot of money, so a lot of these people are just doing the job to do it. And I realized that. I was like, I wouldn't do a job that I wouldn't be good at, but I guess some people do jobs they would not be good at, so that's on. I don't understand that part.
Yeah,
but I mean, whatever. And then caring for my sister, that's like, she's my sister, so of course I'm gonna help her. But it does get hard sometimes, like getting up in the middle of the night. I'd be tired. I'm not gonna lie on that one. I get exhausted very easily. But lucky for me, I have a lot of energy. I always did. I was a preschool teacher, so I have energy all the time. So that's something that, at least with that, I'm still could be up all the time, and I won't get like tired or grumpy. I know when I need to like rest.
That's super cool. Yeah, it's like all about learning your boundaries with it, you know, like that's what I learned. Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's go to Jessica. How was your experience with this whole caregiving?
So for me, same thing. I think financially, a lot of people, like for the amount of money you can pay, it's hard to find good care. I was really lucky because before my injury, we took care of my grandma. So it was the only thing that would frustrate me was that I knew how to do transfers. I knew how to do dressings. I knew how to do everything because I was my grandma's caregiver. And I was like, if it wouldn't have been me, we'd have an extra pair of hands. Like, so same thing. I think one of the big things is, you know, our particular things that we want done a certain way. You know, I always say I don't mind being helped. I just hate that no one does it right. So yeah, my mom and my aunt, they already knew how to do most of the work. So they weren't like scared to help. They just jumped right in. So that part was good. I always used to, like at the beginning of my injury, when you're a high level quad and they have to do everything for you, I would have those moments where I'm like, I'm just gonna put myself in a home. Like, I don't want to deal with you people. And I think the stronger I got, the more independent I got. Obviously, it got easier. But because, like I said, my family is about say the truth. So if I was being a bitch, they would say you're being a bitch. So it was like I was truthful, but so were they. And yeah, but I've had my care has always been family, and I think hiring someone establishes good boundaries. But for me, my biggest comfort level is my family. I just felt like if anyone can deal with my bullshit, it was my family. So it worked out. It was really hard at the beginning financially because, like I said, I was independent financially. My family has never really been able to help financially. If anything, it was the other way around. And so my mom did quit her job, and we were like struggling financially for a while because we just had IHSS and whatever I got from Social Security. But my family is very resourceful. We've always made it work. We're a house of women. It's what we do. But yeah, I've heard so many horror stories about caregivers. So when I work with patients and I help them find caregivers, SIAM has a really good registry. I'm not sure if it's all through the US, but I know in California, there's a lot of resources to find caregivers, how to screen them. And you know, like Tammy said, having a list so that you can advocate for yourself and say, this is how I want things done. I was lucky after 2.5 years of just practice, and working out, I was able to become more and more independent. At this point, and this is what I always tell people, if I can get my family to help with my son, I was like, that was at times more important than having them help me. So like My aunt has always helped with my son, and I was like, well, that helps. At this point, he's 14 and he helps me too, so it's not as bad. I need help with little things. If you live in a house full of able-bodied people and they decide that they're going to put every cup and dish and everything on the last freaking shelf of the house, then yeah, I'm going to need help because you people created an environment that I can't be independent in. But other than that, I'm completely independent at this point, which is awesome because when they annoy me, I could just say, I don't need your help, get out. Like,
Yeah.
and it's a very empowering feeling. But yeah, at the beginning, I mean, I couldn't even feed myself, so I needed help with everything. And I mean, I'm blessed because I worked so hard and I have a lot of return. I'm a very incomplete injury. Otherwise, I wouldn't be so independent at my level. But you know, having a system, if you know, like, I know other quads that they just schedule it out very well where it's like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do my program. So those days I really need a caregiver to be at my house 5 hours a day. And then the other days, they need minimal care, like just helping them dress themselves in the morning and then they're on their own for the day. Always investigating the easiest way for caffeine, the easiest way for bladder care. Reach out to other people in the SEI community because sometimes I meet people that I feel could be a lot more independent, but they don't know they could be a lot more independent. It's not even that they don't want to, that they don't know, right? Sometimes I meet a T7 that still has a full-time caregiver, and I'm a C7, and I'm like, no. We need to teach you how to do things. And, you know, that's why I work with Triumph because I love going to people's houses and saying, no, you can do this. Let me show you how.
Yeah.
So yeah, just really knowing what you need and becoming as independent as possible. Finding your tricks because sometimes we're not really functionally independent. But if you find your tricks on how to get things done your way, you can become more and more independent. So I think that's my take on caregivers. Always.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
It's hard to know what you want, but I think finding other people that are in the community going through the same things, ask questions, you know, so important to do. I totally agree so much. Okay, let's go to Erika and let's go to Erika for the last question, and then we'll go to friends. We're kind of running a little bit late, so let's try to get this in, and hopefully it works out. Okay, let's go to Erika.
Yeah, so for caregivers, I mentioned my mom is my caregiver. It's hard at times because it's a lot of bickering sometimes, but honestly, at least from my personal experience, no one's going to take care of you like family. No one's going to have the amount of patience my mom has. Like, no one's going to, we might argue, but at the end of the day, we come together and she's like, oh, let me do this for you, or let me do that for you. Or I've learned to apologize because that's something that I was like, wasn't really taught before. It didn't really have that good verbal communication of I'm sorry. So now I'm like better at like, Mom, I'm sorry I was stressed. Or I'll tell my dad like, Dad, sorry I was in a rush, or you know, whatever. So I think that's very important in keeping our good communication and like good relationship, even though she is my caregiver.
Yeah, totally agree so much. Communication is so important. Okay, let's go to friends and what was going on with that. Like how did people stick around? You know, did you lose anybody? Was there more people in the beginning? For me personally, of course, everybody's there in the beginning, right? You're getting a million messages. I posted my thing on Facebook and I got all kinds of people, you know, that I had for like first period and freshman year messaging me, you know, they just like, and everybody's like, I'm going to be there for you, whatever you need, you know? And I think that's kind of just the natural human response to like caring about something bad about somebody that you know? And I think that a lot of people do believe that they will be there, you know? I think that it's just overwhelming after a while. I realized that I expected more of them than they could give me. That's kind of what I realized. Losing my friends was extremely hard for me. It hurt more than my family because that's who I hung around with before my injury. That's who I invested my time in. That's who I felt like were my ride or die people. And so slowly, one by one, they started disappearing. It starts being a hassle when I can't drive anymore. I don't have money anymore. I can't party anymore like you guys. Like, I don't have the energy. I would get ready to go to a party, and then I would just be so overwhelmed. I would be in pain. I wouldn't want to get up. I would have a bowel movement, something crazy that would just put me in a bad mood. I remember one time that I was on my way to my friend's kid's birthday party, and we were stopping at the store to get a present. And I fell out of my chair really, really bad. I was all bruised up and scraped up. My boyfriend didn't know what to do. We had to call the ambulance. It was this big old thing. I'm traumatized, tears running down my face, right? And so they tell me, don't worry about it. We'll come tomorrow. So I'm like, okay, cool. They come, they show up. And then I find out that they were frustrated that I didn't get a gift for the kids, that the reason why they came is because they thought that I had a present. And it was just like so overwhelming for me because I'm just like, here I am going through this traumatic ass experience, and you're mad because I didn't get a freaking present for your kid and didn't show up, And, it is what it is. At the end of the day, I needed more from them than what they were willing to give. And also I realized that I'm the one who changed. So in a lot of these relationships, I wasn't the same person anymore. I believed different things about life. I was more grateful for different things. We just didn't vibe the same way. And I don't think I really put in that much effort to keep the relationship because I was really angry. I know that there's people that put in that effort to do that. But I think I was just so frustrated that it was even happening that I just cut it off, and honestly, it was hard for me, but I am appreciative that they were inside of my life for the times that they were. That's what I had to realize, they were inside of my life when I needed them, and now I wouldn't change my support system and the people that I have for anything, so yeah, that's my take on losing friends. Know it's going to happen, not everybody who messages you in the beginning is going to be there at the end of it. But that's okay, got to keep on going and not relate your life to their life. Because I would be like, I want to go to a concert. I want to go jumping in the ocean, but it's just it's unrealistic, that just causes a lot of hardship and depression, I think, in the long run. So yeah, let's go to Erika just in case she has class at 4. So just in case she needs to go. Erika, you want to go next?
Yeah, so I kind of had already touched on the subject regarding friends. I was very lucky. All my friends have stayed the same. Some did come and go, but none that were really important. If anything, like I mentioned, brought a lot of relationships back that I had cut off. I get a little Edward Scissorhandy sometimes with people. So yeah, definitely it was. I don't know. I guess I just maybe had a different experience. All my friends have remained the same. Prior to my accident, I had a lot of friends that I've known for more than half my life. So I don't know if that maybe made a difference. I've known them since I was in grade school. So I think maybe the bond might have been stronger. Honestly, I don't really know, but I just really got lucky in that sense. And like I mentioned, I think the fact that I didn't put too much importance in when people left really helped, especially because I have a big family. Like I mentioned, I have a lot of girl cousins. Shout out to my cousins. We're all the same age. We all hang out. We do wild stuff together, and they don't care that I'm in a chair. If anything, I'm their amusement because we have a great ass time, and they're throwing me around whenever they can and bringing me down the stairs in my chair. It's just, we're a hot mess a lot of the times, but it's fun. So I feel because I have my cousins, even if all my friends don't leave me, but if they did, all dropped and left me, I feel maybe the void wouldn't be as strong because I have all my girl cousins and they better not ever leave me. Yeah, so I don't know, I guess I had a different experience, but I do sympathize because I can't imagine going through what we've all experienced, without someone to call your rock or someone to have their, because sometimes you just need someone not to tell you what to do, not to be oh my God, I'm so sorry for your loss, or, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Sometimes you just need someone to just sit there with you and just let you be, you know? So I had a lot of friends that were long-term, so they know kind of my personality. They know how I vent. They know I'm not a big crier. I don't get really emotional. I have like, I don't know, maybe it's a little different. I know there's a bunch of people out there that think like maybe crying is bad. It's not that I don't think it's bad or not. It's not in my nature to just be like a crying volcano, you know? And it's hard because like my mom or some of my cousins are crying volcanoes. Like they'll cry on site for little things. And so that I think was a lot of help for my friends because they didn't sit there and just like cry, or like they didn't sit there like, and they didn't expect that from me, which was nice because my family, even though my friends also went through my experience and went through my loss, it's not the same thing as my family that experienced it on a deeper level. And so like I know my cousins were trying to be really strong in my family, but at the same time you could tell that they were just breaking. So my friends definitely did play like a big role in my recovery, because they were more like mentally and emotionally stable to just be my friends and be there for me. So I guess that would be kind of a little wrap up of my experience. And like I mentioned, I have to go because I have class. But it was great seeing you girls, great talking to you, and I hope you guys continue this live. So
yes, thank you. Yeah, we're going to be wrapping up, so we went a little bit overboard, but it's kind of important. So thank you, Erika. Have a good day. Okay, let's go Jessica next.
All right. So I think I agree with Erika. My friends, if anything, the crazy thing that happened was, when I was able-bodied, I always had a boyfriend. So I wasn't too big on friends. I had like 2 or 3 really close friends, and they're my friends till today, until forever. But I had just broken up with a boyfriend, and I was partying a lot. And the crazy thing, which was very unexpected, is that the girls I was partying with ended up becoming like my everything. To this day, they're my best friends. We do everything together. We travel. We hang out. I have friends that I've had since high school, and I think it's just I probably have made a lot more friends throughout the years, but yeah, the friends that I did have stuck around, and like Erika said, I have a lot of girl cousins. So like the first years of my injury, like right when I got out of the hospital, I wasn't drinking because I decided not to drink for 2 years because they told me that was like the 2 years were the most essential to recovery. But the first day I got home, I threw a party and I had everyone come over, and I just want everyone drunk, right? And like Erika said, I think for me, like the bitchiness and like the anger, my mom had to deal with that, and my aunts. But like my friends and everyone that I knew, they didn't have to, because I was just more of, we're gonna have fun, and yeah, I've been injured 10 years, and so all my 20s, like I said, we taught all my friends how to cast. We taught my cousins, my sisters, and so I was like out and about. I've been to a million concerts. I've been to festivals. I've traveled. I've, like Brianna said, I'm the one that gets us to the front of the line at all the clubs, and I'm the one that parts the seas when you're at a bar and no one wants to move. People that don't know, they always go, how is she going to get through? And my cousin, who's my best friend, he tells them, no, we don't do anything. She's got this. She's going to get us through. And, so I've probably done more now than I did before my injury, just because before my injury, I always had a boyfriend. And after my injury, like we talked last time, I've dated a lot, but I haven't established something super serious in the past like 6 years. So my friends are my everything. And yeah, so like I said, my friends are the reason why I've been able to do so much sometimes. Especially, the crazy thing is, it's been a lot of my guy friends pull through too. And so for me, like I used to say, when we get injured, we become amazing actors, because I could be going through a really tough time, but I'm not going to put that on my friends. I'd kind of leave that at home, and I'd just be like, my life is fine. Like, I can get through this, you know? And so I'm not much of a crier either. My family has seen it at the beginning of my injury, but for the most part, yeah, I still had all the same friends. And yeah, I've had the same friends for about 10, 15 years. And I'm blessed that way. And not to mention all the friends we make after we got injured. I love the SCI community, and without them, I probably just would have been completely lost. And I wouldn't have been able to be so happy, because I believe that even when I was like, I'm not going to think about it, I'm just going to be happy, it was real, you know, because I put myself in that energy, in that mood. But yeah, I've always been very loud and fun. So if anything, when my friends do go out without me, they're just like, we couldn't get in until like this time, or we had to wait in line, or, you know, so yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny. I think confidence is a big key to this. Like, that was what like kind of halted me in the beginning, because I didn't feel myself. So I would go out, but then I felt like everybody was looking at me. I didn't feel confident in my skin. And also, I'm the type of person too that is like very energy based, and I'm not trying to put my sad energy on people. So I would be okay, I would be up, but then I would go home and I would just feel so emotional, because I would just feel like it wasn't what I wanted. Like, there's so many different times where I just felt overwhelmed, or my back was hurting, or just different experiences. Maybe we all had to go to the bathroom, but now there's a little bathroom and now I don't fit inside of it, you know, and like now it's a problem, which is, now I would look at those situations different. I do look at them different. Now I'm down to do whatever, you know, I'm going out with my family, I'm doing things. But I think in the beginning, it was definitely harder for me, because I just wasn't comfortable in my own skin. So that changed a lot too. That's what I meant too by, I feel like I did push a lot of those friends away, because I didn't keep on trying to communicate. You know, I wasn't trying to go anymore, you know, and like I would show up to their house, but I just remember how it would be before, and I was just so in my head. I wasn't okay with this injury, and the SCI community taught me how to be happy and a person out again, you know, and even if things happen, it's okay, you know. Things happen to able-bodied people too, you know, and we just have to like roll with the punches. Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's go to Tammy. How was friends for you? Did you keep your friends, or did you lose them?
In the beginning, I grew up in a really close-knit community, so everyone and their mom was at the hospital to, you know, show up and support. And I did have a close group of girlfriends, but you know, I am human, and I did harbor a lot of pain and anger and grief that I wasn't aware that I wasn't processing, and I was quite a piece of work to be around. I was demanding, unbeknownst to me, you know, because you need to play the victim. Like, this happened to me, you need to treat me this way, you know. Until you wake up one day, you're like, oh, you know, the world doesn't owe you shit, basically. And then I did have a close group of girlfriends, and I realized over time that as we're growing into our own person and we're all veering onto different paths, they weren't resonating with me anymore. And I quietly just distanced myself. Maybe not the best way, but like you said, there comes a point where you just don't feel like putting in effort anymore. And I used to be the type to explain all of my actions, but I feel like I do enough of that on my daily life, you know. I feel like I just didn't want to explain myself anymore. And I just quietly walked away. And it was very painful, because it was the first time where I was alone by myself. And it allowed me to grow into my own person, because I used to pride myself on being around, having so many friends and people supporting me, you know. But I didn't realize it was codependency. Like, I needed to be around a lot of people to feel normal, feel accepted, to feel disabled. But when I removed myself, it really helps me grow into my own person, and really helps me accept myself.
Yeah, I totally agree, 1,000% with that. It's hard, you know, but it did help me become somebody different. I'm not who I am when I first got injured, you know.
Yeah.
That's you know. And then like I think, well, would I even be friends with those people if I was who I was today? I don't know. So it puts you in a place where you're always thinking about what if this, what if that, and of course you wouldn't want anybody to leave you. You want everybody to be loyal, but that's just not the reality of it. And sometimes at the beginning, I held them accountable for that. I was very angry, but now I've like released it a little bit, and I don't hold that hatred inside of my heart. It is what it is, and I'm grateful who in my life now. Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's go to Nikki. How was your experience with this whole friends thing?
It's crazy that I'm going last. I feel like it's like a mixture between all of you. All of everything everyone said. I was in the, so I live in Chicago, I don't know that. I was in the restaurant industry, so I worked at a bar, which when you work in the bar in Chicago, at least, everybody, like, you talk to everybody. So I think for me, like, everybody knows as a sister, me and my sister's experience was really different, so I'm speaking just for myself because she did not work in the industry or anything. And I was a teacher, so I was always like working. I knew a lot of people through work. I knew a lot of people from going out to like bars and clubs. Like I was a very social butterfly. I was everywhere. And also a thing for me too is like I know that I wear my heart on my sleeve, so sometimes I let things get to me. I also, a lot of my family says I like give too much of myself to someone, and I think when I got injured, I expected that from everyone, and not everyone did that. And like I'm still new. So some of those friends have reached back out and were like, damn, I should have been there for you more because you would have been there for me if I was like injured. And I'm like, yeah, but whatever. So I definitely have lost a lot of friends, but I think the friendships that I've had just created more substance. Like I have 2 really good high school friends, and they have like came through completely from high school. And maybe it is because like Erika said, like, because I've known them for like a longer amount of time than other people, they've stuck around really well. My cousin Monique, which I know she's watching this live, so shout out to her. She's been there like completely, but we were always close. We actually, our birthday's only months apart, so I think this like is like a mixture of everyone. But for me, it was just realizing that, like you said, Brianna, maybe they wouldn't like who I am now because I'm definitely a different person. Like I used to party so much. And I don't have any interest in doing that anymore. I do love to still go out and about, but it's different than it looked before my accident. And I know that, and people know that. But one thing too with my friends is I'm also a very honest person. So like, I'll be like, oh, if I go out with you, I might pee on myself and I'm gonna need help with X, Y, Z, or like stuff like that. And I've realized the friends who are willing to help, and I've realized the friends who aren't. And to me, at least for me, I don't know if there's like anyone else agrees with this, but for me, if they're not willing to help me, then you're not a friend. So I just kind of distance myself from those people. Like if you're not willing, it takes 5 seconds, but I just need help. And if this happened to you, you would need it too. But then some of the relationships that I've kept, they've just gotten better. I feel like we're more honest. Like friendships now, I just feel like are more real. Like we vibe better and we appreciate being together more than before.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. You definitely get a change of perspective, and it is hard to not understand, because you want to be like, I just don't understand why you can't be there for me, like, and it just, the reality is that they aren't you, and they're their own person, and we can't expect that from them, they're just might be incapable of that, and we have to be okay with that. As people, we're very possessive, like this person is mine forever, and it just does not work that way, so I would just be like, be open-minded. We all touched on very different things, and just tips, and I think confidence is key. And I think it's like, don't force relationships either. Don't feel like these were your friends, so these have to be your friends. That might not be the way that it works, and that's nothing against you. That's nothing against your injury. That's just the way that life goes. Sometimes you lose friends, You guys could have got into a fight over chocolate chip cookies, and it would have ended up the same way. But in your head, you're just like, oh my gosh, it's my chair, it's my disability, it's all these things, and that can hurt you. For me, it really put me in a bad depression. I really did feel like this injury was stealing my family, stealing my independence, stealing my friends, and I'm just like, what else do you want from me? And so like, that was very hard, But finding your circle, know that you can make a new circle, you know, finding that is really important, and finding that confidence again really does help. You know, when you go out with a group of friends and you're confident in something, even if something happens, let's say your catheter breaks, you know, let's say you do pee on yourself, whatever it is, you have to think of the next solution. You can't get overwhelmed, because I promise you, everybody else is going to get overwhelmed too. You know, control the situation, realize who's going to be there and who's not. That's life. You know, so yeah, I had a great conversation with you guys today. We touched on some very, very deep topics, you know, and I hope that everybody got something out of it. Let me know what you guys think. I'm so excited to be back. We're going to be coming on this group of girls every other Thursday at 3, and then we'll be doing another one. So every month there will be a women's takeover. So make sure you guys join us, and make sure that you join Sean and the guys on Tuesday at 3:30 as well. And we look forward to talking to you guys again soon.
All right. Bye, ladies. Thank you.